and I think maybe we should be live.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay, so hello, welcome to the December Stitch and Bitch. One word before we start, we were supposed to have like a Secret Santa and a Stitch and Gifts episode today, but because of like Finland having a postal strike and other personal shenanigans and stuff, not everyone has received their Secret Santa gift, so we are postponing the gift unwrapping until January so that everyone can like participate fully. And with that out of the way, why don't we introduce ourselves? Rachel, will you go first?
Yes. I'm Rachel. My channel is Colonati, where I mainly talk about science fiction and fantasy, and a lot of nonfiction because Nonfiction November was a thing. Yes. Are we talking about what we're making too?
Not yet, just introduce.
Next person then.
Okay, Di, will you go next?
Hi, I'm Diana. I'm Bookish Di on Twitter and on YouTube, and I just started up my channel after a few months hiatus with a review of Saul and Gabby Break the Universe.
Nice. Claire.
I am Claire. This is Tabby in the background. She's the more important member of this channel. I make videos at Claire Russo, and I have an unboxing of the December Illumicrate box, which you might be able to see behind me because it's quite bright. So that I've just filmed this morning, and I'm going to have out at some point very shortly. I don't have heat right now, and it's December, so I might have to turn on my space heater at some point.
And then Bree.
Hi, I'm Bree, and I feel very bad about Claire's heater going out. Not that it is my fault, but just in commiseration. My channel is Bree Reads Books. I just posted some stuff about Ninth House by Leigh Bardugo. And I mostly review science fiction and fantasy.
Okay, and I am Reija. I am your host. So probably if you have found your way to this channel, you should know who I am and where you are. I am Reija from the Bookfinch. And we've had snow today in Finland, or rather sleet, but that's almost snow. So I'm taking it. It's almost like Christmas. Next up, we could talk about what we are making. So let's go with Diana.
Okay, I am slowly catching up with the ginormous book Scarf of Doom. Hold on. So this is all of it so far. I'm a couple months behind. It is taller than I am because I made a grave miscalculation.
Die?
But I'm committed. I'm going to finish this fucking thing.
How many Doctor Who's worth is that?
How many
All of them.
Yeah. It's a lot. Like I said, I made a grave miscalculation.
Yeah.
I did not expect to read 120 books so far this year.
Oh dear.
Okay, next, Claire.
Well, I am working on the book blanket, but I have also not worked on the book blanket for like a large amount of time because, as it turns out, I do too many things. So I have like a diagram of where the book blanket should have been at in like this is very clear diagramming right there of where it should have been at in like May. So catching up, but I do have a lot of time off coming up this like month, so I'm hoping to catch up with a lot of books and catch up with this, but I'm probably going to make more hexagons because it will take too much concentration to read the stupid chart as I'm talking to you.
I mean, you are still committed to like actually finishing it though?
Yes, but I don't really know when it's gonna be finished because
I mean,
look. The thing is, it's got 2, 4, 6, 8. It's got 10 hexes in one like line. Although obviously it's quite. I mean, with crochet hexes or squares, they kind of like they kind of stretch a little bit over time, so it's to be expected. But that's not even a large blanket. That's like a single person blanket you would put on your lap. I've got 10 hexes and I read 56 books this year, and a hex is a book. So like I just don't have enough material to actually make something that's a full blanket. So I probably will have to carry it into 2020. Or just like finish the pattern and have a demarcation at some point that's like, this is no longer books. But that does sound a little unsatisfying of a solution, so I don't know.
Can you put it into a scarf?
No.
What about
I will just.
I mean, it's
like,
a good idea, but I
you're
feel
still
like there's a
doing it.
cognitive dissonance for me where crochet hexagons and squares go in blankets, not in scarves, and it is very silly because there's no reason it shouldn't go. It's just that the way I learned to make these is they're granny squares and you make blankets out of them. And
You can make a tabby blanket.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. You can make it like a little small.
well,
blanket.
number one, it's a blanket for me, therefore she shall steal it in time. But she just doesn't
Every
really...
blanket is a tabby blanket.
I know, right? Like my summer house coat is now purely a tabby nest. Like I've got this, like little summer, wrap that is very light and really nice if you just need like some sleeves, but kind of wide and not too warm, like to wear over like a tank top or something. It's just like it's crusted in cat hair now, like just over the months since I've last worn it in the summer. Because what I did is I wore that thing for a few days. I made sure to wear it every day before I left for Worldcon because she has attachment issues, and if I leave, there has to be something that smells of me. Otherwise, she freaks. And so I left it, and when I came back, she was like, nah, it's my nest now. And she was purely sleeping on it like every day.
She missed you.
She did. Now she's on the heated blanket.
Okay, we will come back to tabby and heated blankets later. And so we've covered Di and Claire. Next, we shall cover Brie.
So my book blanket is a quilt, and I have my sewing machine out in the main room right now. But while we're on here, I am working on this pattern. It is a moss stitch, just kind of alternating colors that's going to fade out into a bright orange. As my fidget for the last couple of weeks is what I've been working on.
Okay, next, Rachel.
Well, I am attempting to start knitting a sweater, and I'm going to put this aside, and I'm actually going to work on my book blanket, which is really big now.
So it's
nice.
Oh yeah,
I love the colors.
me
So
too.
you can stand up and show it, which is
It's so pretty.
Is it like bed sized yet?
almost.
Wow, that's gorgeous.
So
That looks really good.
I'm still catching up. I put about 12 inches on it over Thanksgiving, actually. And I still have all of November to do, and then some from December. So it may end up being a little bit longer than I wanted for a twin size Afghan, but I can work with it.
I love your color choices. That's like...
It really worked out. I was worried that I added more colors later in the year and thought it would just turn out to be a mess, but it kind of works.
Everything went better than expected.
Yeah.
It's like the opposite of mine right now.
Oh, yours is so eclectic though. Like it's so unique and like it like shows all your personality. It's so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like mine was started with the idea that, you know, I read science fiction, fantasy, and like comic books, and that would work out. And also fan fiction. There's a color for fan fiction. The problem is I haven't bloody tracked my fanfic for ages. My fanfic reading, so I'm gonna have to figure out what I do for that. I forgot I even had a fanfiction color on it, but I started on that assumption, and this year I've been reading a lot more like varied genres, and now I'm like, am I supposed to do 5 non-fiction squares in a row for non-fiction November in like a really bright color? It's gonna look a bit weird, so I don't know.
Go ahead.
Oh, I was going to say, one thing that I've been really cognizant about this year with doing this scarf is like trying to make sure I don't read like one genre over and over again, because I'm like, I don't just want like a large chunk of bright red, which is my romance color. So I've been So I've been doing a thing where it's like, okay, I just read a romance book. I need to read something else. Like, even if it's just like a comic book, to like have it alternating color before I go back into romance.
Smart.
I was wondering, like, how would it look if you alternated colors inside the one granny square, so that you had like multiple genres and like, for example, for short fiction, you could do like if you read a lot of like novellas and stuff, you could have like a granny square that is multiple colors.
Yeah, we were kind of thinking about that at the beginning of the year. We talked about it a bunch, and I think it's a good idea. I just wasn't really sure how I was going to work it out in terms of like the colors and you know, I don't know. I just saw a pattern for this blanket that used granny squares, but instead it was hexagons and it was just one color, and I thought, it's so beautiful, I really wanted to do that. But obviously on that pattern the lady has like planned out her colors in advance, and so it looked a certain way. And now, like, the thing is, it doesn't look great when it's, you know, that, but it's going to look much better when there's a lot more on it. So that's what I'm kind of like clinging on. And I'm probably just going to put a couple of like fan fiction squares in between the non-fiction, even though it's not chronological, you know.
I mean, it's your blanket. Like, you can do whatever. I'm just really like amazed that you are still committed to like actually finishing it, because I gave up months ago. Like, I pretty much just like put the whole project in the cupboard and never looked back.
Oh, what you did is you gave yourself something to do that was, weren't you also doing a quilt? Like, you gave yourself something to do that was really, really tricky.
Yeah, and I had like this huge plan that it was like when it was gonna like lay on top of a bed, it was gonna look like an actual bookcase with like lights and stuff. And then I may do that at some point. But instead of like doing like a year-long reading journal, basically, I might do it so that I will like mimic my favorite book spines and do like a favorite bookshelf and do a quilt that way.
That sounds like an amazing project.
I will do it one day. Maybe I will even document on how to do it. I'm not sure. But segueing into what I'm making, I am actually crocheting a shawl.
That's so cute.
Nice.
One of the yarns I got in Ireland. This was from the yarn lady at Worldcon, the color mycelium, and it's super nice and soft. And I'm trying to make like a huge shawl. And it was actually funny because when I saw my mom today, she was like, "Oh, that looks super cool." And then I told her I'm making a shawl, and she was like, "Wow, that's gonna be so work intensive." And I'm like, "Don't do this to me. Like, don't put pressure on me, Mom, please." So we've covered what we're making. What is everyone reading? Rachel, will you go first?
I'm trying to read The Invisible Valley by Sue Wei. It's not going very well. I don't have it here right now. It's
You
like
sound not enthused at all.
it's like Chinese historical fiction set in the Cultural Revolution in the 1960s, and it's actually a good story, and the translation is magnificent. It's so well translated. It's just not my kind of literature.
Is it like more literary fiction or something?
Yeah, literary historical fiction. Yeah, and but I'm halfway through, and I thought, well, I should just finish it. But every day, I'm like, I will read one chapter of this, and then I read something else instead.
Yeah, sounds fair.
But my reading is really slowed down in December because of Vlogmas, so that's like the only thing I'm really trying to read.
You've been keeping up with Vlogmas though, which is so impressive.
When I'm done here,
film a lot.
when I'm done here, I have to go edit 3 videos because I have to have all my content for the coming week planned because I'm going out of town, so I have to have it all uploaded and scheduled. I can do it. It's not that hard.
You're reading anything else? Just the Chinese lit fic?
Yeah, I'm mostly trying that. I did read a couple chapters of Beyond the Empire, which is this is like my treat. If I can finish The Invisible Valley, then I will come back to this book because it'll be so much fun.
Okay, next up, Bree. What are you reading?
So I am just about to start Magic for Liars by Sarah Gailey, which I'm super excited about.
Ooh.
Yeah, that was actually my Patreon pick for the month, which I was so scared to do a Patreon pick at the beginning of the year, and they turned out to be actually pretty good.
Can I ask a question about that?
Yeah.
Do you do like a little poll in which you put 3 different books or 4 different books that you actually want to read and then they pick, or do you get write-ins as well?
I generally put in just like, I try to do like 4 or 5 like backlogged books, like things that I know I wouldn't pick up. And then there are some that I've put open before. I did narrow it down this month, but to just 2 because I'm trying so hard to catch up with all of my backlogged books that I need to do to finish my Goodreads challenge.
Yeah.
But yeah, I have opened it up to the 2 write-ins. I don't know that anyone is really tried to petition hard for one, but
see, now you've given me an incentive to like join at that tier and try and get you to read Crystal Star. Which do not actually do. That book is not good at all. Sorry.
Oh dear.
Okay, next up, Di, since you were talking about a book you want Bree to read, what are you reading actually?
Well, I just finished Resistance Reborn by Rebecca Rowanhorse. It's the Journey to the Rise of Skywalker book, and I really enjoyed it. She does very good Poe and Finn, and also some people I like from the Battlefront 2 campaign showed up, so that was cool. And I'm currently reading Mirror Dance by Lois McMaster Bujold. I'm about maybe a third of the way through, and a character is about to do something very bad, so I've like kind of stopped.
Is that the more Corsican one, or yeah?
So Mark is about to do something stupid. Like I just know it, and so I've kind of paused. And then I'm also reading Bloodlines by Melissa Del Bosque, and that's a nonfiction book about the FBI using quarter horse racing to take down some drug cartel members. Luke says hi.
Hello, Void Baby.
He is a Void Baby.
Aww.
Just love Black so much.
Mine has abandoned me.
Oh.
No. Like
Renee
Hedda just came to eat, and now she's pontificating on leaving.
Renee in the chat. Oh, go ahead.
Plugging WizCon.
Yeah, plugging WizCon because Rowan Horse is going to be a guest of honor next year.
Also, hi, Renee.
Hi, Renee.
Yeah, also hi, Renee.
Hello.
Luke says hi.
Hello to our multiple Hugo winning audience
Yes.
member.
We're so cool. I feel so cool right now.
Our friends are so cool. Oh my god. This is genuinely one of the measures of success in my life is how cool are people who are willing to be friends with me, and they're pretty cool. So I feel good.
Same.
Oh dear.
I mean, I'm always like, look at my cool friends. Well, what have you been doing? Not much, but my friends. So, Claire.
Oh
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Renee points out, in case you didn't know, if you're interested in the Hugos, BookTube channels are eligible for Best Fancast, and you should nominate all of them. I mean, you should, if you're interested in nominating for the Hugos, you should get yourself a membership to Worldcon 2020 in New Zealand. You can get a supporting membership if you can't go to New Zealand because that's far and expensive. You can get a supporting membership, and then you get like a cool e-package of all of the books and things like that are finalists. And then you can also nominate if you get that membership quite soon before the end of December. And then you can like pick your 5 favorite. Is it 5? It's 5, right? You can pick your 5 favorite BookTube channel and put them all in for finalists for Best Fan Cast.
It's like the perfect number or something. I don't know. 5 is such a good number.
I say booktubers who want to see on the Hugo ballot.
I mean, to be fair, like, I freaking love the Fancast category. It's where BookTube goes. It's where podcast goes. It's where, kind of like regular commentary goes. And I always have like, the number of things that I think are, Hugo worthy. And then the number of things that I can actually put on my ballot because of the space on my ballot. Like it's huge. Like I always have a short list of like 20 things or whatever. And yeah, there are many more things that should have a spot there because they're good enough than there are actual spots there. So
yeah, I need to buy my supporting membership soon. I keep forgetting.
Do it soon. Do it before December 31st.
I know. I need to do
Are
it
you
today.
still planning to attend?
I don't know anymore. Just because
I know it's gonna be expensive and
yeah.
stuff.
Well, and it's also that month is also Star Wars Celebration, which I already have tickets to.
Yeah.
Fair.
So I'm gonna look at my finances come January and just see if it's feasible.
And I think in the US in particular, it's quite difficult with like numbers of days off and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's the other thing because a friend and I are planning to do in, I think, late February or March 2021, a trip to South America. Because she's never been and I want to go back to Buenos Aires. So yeah, so that's the other concern is also making sure I have enough time off to do that. And where I work is really dumb and we don't get the week between Christmas and New Year's off. So like if I want to go back and see my family, I have to take that time off.
Yeah. I mean, in the UK, a lot of places also don't give you that week, but we do have like the standard is 25 days. So it makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. So I'm gonna, like I said, I'm gonna check and see, but what the hell did I just do?
But Claire, you're
hi. What
You're
are
reading.
books?
What are books? Can I even
What are
read?
books? No.
I put you on the spot, sorry.
No, it's okay. It's just that it's been because it's the end of the year and the holidays, and I was spent a lot of time in the last couple of weeks, in the last week specifically, like trying to cram as much work as possible in so that I could then, leave for France because I was supposed to go see my parents like Tuesday, and then with the heat packing it and everything, like. and some other stuff going on right now. Like, it's just been really stressful, and so I've ended up moving my flight to after Christmas instead of before Christmas, just so that I can actually like be around to sort out the heating thing, because there are right now my partner also has stuff going on, and so he can't like, you know, I'm not gonna like piss off to another country while there's no heat and then just come back and be like, is it fixed yet?
That would be a power move, though.
It would.
So John,
that's not the word I would use, but sure, you do you. Yeah.
Well,
no, I just felt like
one line between a power move and a dick move, you know.
Yeah, well, I don't know.
Like,
here in America, they're kind of the same thing.
Well, the thing is, right, that me taking that holiday, me taking that trip to France over New Year's rather than over the week before Christmas, it does mean that like now it's a lot more chill, because I have literally like I have to do like 5 or 6 working days before the end of the year, just like because the reason why I figured out the reason why 2019 was a trash fire for me was in part because I didn't take any bloody holiday for a really long time, and I was really tired, and now I have so many like days that I had to put in before the end of the year because I only can transfer 5. So actually next year I have so much fucking holiday. So yeah, I wish very hard that I could send you some holiday in the mail, like, but you know, also probably I should rest every now and again.
Luke is doing something he's not supposed to.
Oh. Well, he's a little rebel, that's why.
He's not supposed to get where I keep my washer and dryer. Oh yeah, that's fair.
He's looking for the one spot to destroy it.
Yeah. I was gonna say he's looking for a way to repair it because he's into fixing droids.
An engineer.
She's missing all those great references, by the way.
Boo.
He was gonna go looking for power converters.
Exactly. Oh dear.
Rhea, what are you reading?
Just a sec. I actually have them both here.
Ooh.
Because I came prepared or something. I'm still trying to read Daughters of Enri. I'm about 60 pages in, and it's a relatively short book, but I'm having a hard time getting into it, to be completely honest. Like, there's this weird thing where the author keeps introducing characters that I don't think are going to be meaningful in any way to the plot or the characterization. Like, they get their own like backstory and point of view, and then they're kind of like not to spoil too much, but sort of like dispatched. And I don't know why that couldn't have been explored in like some other way, like in some other character's point of view and stuff. And also, like, there's this like weird point of view shift that happens like all the time. Like, I don't know whose head I'm supposed to be in right at that moment, because like there was this instance where there was this one character and like the author put in her like thoughts in like cursive or italics, and I was like, okay, is this character's point of view, or is the other character reading her mind? I don't know. And it's still not explained, and I'm like, the execution is driving me up the wall. I'm interested, but at the same time I'm so frustrated that I keep putting this down and not picking it up. But I really need to get cracking on this because it's due at the library, and
what book is that?
Renew it. Daughters of Enri by Rennie K. Amayo.
Okay.
She's like, this is a debut, and this is like a very like independent small press that's going like a British indie press. That's
Okay.
focused on like Black and African descended authors. Like basically own voices, Afrofuturism and fantasy.
Okay.
So yeah, like Still better than Children of Blood and Bone, though. Putting that there.
Oh dear.
And the other one I'm reading is Hansen by Peter Spiegel, which has been really good. But I also keep putting this one down because the main character is like almost too relatable, like from a teenage point of view. Like this is a very well written teenage character. Like she's so annoying, so obnoxious, and I relate to her too much because I was just that obnoxious and awful at that age. And she's making all of the same mistakes, and she has that whole divorced parents background, and I'm like, oh no, this is too much. I can't. We're just getting to the supernatural part, so I'm like, okay, now it hopefully will get like less exhausting to read, because I'm like, oh no, don't remind me of my dreadful past.
I think that's a real feel.
Yeah, really, it's like it's like Peter Spiegel like swapped bodies with a teenage girl at some point, because that kind of like the way he writes that character is so real. Like either he has known many teenage girls in his like life and knows that like sort of experience from like secondhand or something, because Jesus, that's one of the like best written teenage girls I've read ever.
Luke and Leia are just.
Do you know what he does for? Do you know what he does for a day job? Because like sometimes I find books like that, and sometimes you Google an author like that, and then you're like, oh, they're a teacher.
Like no, I don't know what Peter Spiegel. I suppose right now he's like
right
retired.
Now he's quite retired. Yes.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm looking it up. I'm looking it up
too. What are we looking up?
What Peter Spiegel did for a day job.
He was a screenwriter.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my god, he wrote his first novel when he was 19, following it with a memoir. You wrote a memoir when you were 19. I'm so mad.
Oh my god.
I don't
what
know.
What could possibly have been in that memoir? Like, what life experience?
All of his teenage years. That's the stuff I mean. Obnoxious, pretentious, awful teenagers. Thinking that they're the shit.
No.
And writing their memoirs.
Wait, what?
It looks like he legitimately was just a screenwriter and author.
25 or 26, something like that. It says he wrote his first novel at 19, and then he wrote a memoir in 1965, and he was 25. Jesus.
I don't have enough in my life to write a memoir about, and I'm 27, so...
I mean, I feel like I'm gonna be 72 at some point, and I'm gonna look back at my life and feel like, well, that was a waste of time. That's just how I feel, though. It's my ADHD overachieving brain. It's giving me all these weird thoughts. Anyway, media. Does anyone want to talk about any favorite media this month before we all descend into a dark pit of despair?
No one is allowed to say what happened in the newest Mandalorian because I haven't seen it yet.
No one is allowed to say what happened in any Mandalorian because they fucking ate Europe and the United Kingdom.
Do you want to log in and you can use a VPN?
Like, that's fine.
Okay.
John
I'm not allowed to get Disney Plus.
So. John doesn't want to watch it right now because he said, like, I got so spoiled anyway. Like, what's the point? I'm gonna wait until it's all out and get like a DVD box set or whatever, or just watch it in all one go when we can watch it. But right now, the process of watching it with everybody else is ruined.
Yeah. The next episode is dropping on Wednesday, the day before Rise of Skywalker, and like my section of Star Wars Twitter is like wondering, okay, how is it going to tie in? Like, what's the deal with this release schedule?
My partner and I were talking about that for a not insignificant amount of time on Friday.
So, yeah, I have a theory about my super bonker, well, not super bonkers theory about Rey, which would tie into potentially with the Mandalorian. So,
well, there's the thing you tweeted earlier as well about how you should keep an eye out in Rise of Skywalker for Ahsoka.
Oh my god, JJ. So, for context, and hopefully my cat isn't moving the shit that I put in front of the door.
And for sure is, because
he's trying. I put something heavier, so we'll see if that deters him. Anyway, so
it's not going to deter him. Anyway, sorry.
Wait, did you say he's a Gemini?
He's a Jedi. It's not going to deter him.
I thought you said he's a Gemini. I'm like,
no, I don't know.
I mean,
he was born in June, so he's either a Cancer or a Gemini.
Yeah, I don't actually know.
When is he born?
I don't know. That would be a Renee question.
Okay.
Anyway, so what I was saying is Ahsoka Tano is a character on the Star Wars animated properties. And in an interview that JJ did, he was asking someone like, oh, who's your favorite character? And the interviewer said, oh, I don't know if you know her, Ahsoka Tano, from the animated stuff. And JJ, the fucking troll that he is, hold on, I'm pulling up the quote because it was a lot.
To be fair, I'm not sure the interviewer actually said to him oh, do you know this Star Wars character? Because that would be a little bit of fansplaining, I think.
Well, so I think the thing is before. Okay, so I think Luke is a Gemini. Renee said his birthday is before the 15th of June.
I am June 17th, and I am a Gemini.
Yeah, so he's a Gemini. Okay, here it is. By Abrams. By the way, who's your favorite character? Interviewer. Me, Ahsoka Tano. Sorry for picking someone who only appears in the animated stuff, but I really like her positive, determined personality. JJ. Ahsoka, huh? Well, then you'll probably want to watch closely during the Rise of Skywalker.
Troll.
That's
I know, right?
Super scroll.
I know, but if Ahsoka does appear, I will die because I love Ahsoka, even though I think she should have died in the season 2 finale of Rebels. Sorry, I have a lot of feelings.
It's okay. I think we all know what it's like to have a lot of feelings.
Anyway, the next few days are going to be really stressful for me because I'm very much looking forward to it, but I'm also super stressed about this movie.
Yeah. On the bright side, we're moving my stupid plane ticket.
It's my feeling.
Mm-hmm.
On the bright side, we're moving them stupid plane tickets. I can go to actually see it the day it comes out, as opposed to having to avoid Twitter until I come back from France.
Or having to avoid us, your friends.
Well, that's fine because my friends are, good, kind humans and would take that to a different Twitter DM conversation.
Fine.
Or we would,
but
we would also just post on the Sparkle Rocket chat this channel be full of spoilers now.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not an idiot. I would mute the channel, but yeah. Anyway.
I mean, we still don't have Frozen 2 over here, so...
I still haven't seen it. It's just I'm so bad at going to see movies.
It's going to come into theaters over here on the 25th of December because they're trying to capitalize on the Christmas market, I guess.
Okay,
Nice.
but did everyone
Also
see?
the job.
Did everyone see Knives Out?
I haven't
No.
because I am bad at movies.
I need you to see.
I haven't
Knives Out.
because we don't have it yet. Because
haven't,
we never
'cause-
get anything on time.
Stress.
It's just so for me, I don't have a car, so I do have to catch public transit to get to the movie theaters.
that too.
And the movie theaters are legit on the opposite side of town from me.
Oh, boo!
And town is large.
It's
Not small.
not geographically it's a little large just because it has room to spread, but it's still just kind of a pain in the ass.
Yeah, but I mean, also, it depends. how large a town is largely depends on how good the public transport is, you know, like.
Yeah, and so like we do have like free public transit, which is nice, but I also would have to like
public transit.
Yeah. But I would have to
cries in Londoner.
Yeah. But I would have to take like 2 different buses to get there.
I mean,
so that's
to
part
be
of the
fair,
thing.
our transit system is really pretty fucking good, but it's also very expensive, so.
Which I don't get, because doesn't London have like a super shitty traffic problem? Wouldn't they?
Yeah.
No, but that's not, we have the underground, we don't, most people don't drive in London at all, like.
But the tube is like really awful during the heat of summer. It's like
yeah, but the tube is like really practical to actually get places, and it is much cleaner than the Paris Underground is. Like, makes much more sense than the New York Underground. So, like, it's shitty, but only us can say it's shitty.
Can I talk about how cranky
London
I am?
or Paris?
Oh, about London. I don't care about Paris. I'm from the rest of France, so we hate Paris. This is how it works.
Oh, okay.
I'm going to interrupt.
I was just gonna quickly.
Wait, Brie, what were you saying?
I was going to say, I'm going to interrupt on a cranky tangent that doesn't mean anything to anybody else, but the round trip tickets from my local international airport to London around EasterCon were like $400 round ticket, and I didn't even think about it.
I'm so sorry.
It's fine. I'm going. My mom really wants to go to Dublin, so we got tickets there because it was also just hella cheap. But I was like, oh man, if I had thought about it.
Wait, are you saying that 400 was expensive or cheap?
Cheap.
That's like
that's
$50.
I was like, that's super cheap.
Like,
I was like, what are you complaining about? But then I realized my brain turned.
No, I'm complaining about me being dumb, not about the tickets being expensive.
Oi. Negative self-talk. You're complaining about you for not thinking about it.
Yeah.
We need a ribbon for that.
No.
We need a what?
A ribbon for no.
We need a ribbon for no negative self-talk. And
we need one of those. We need one of those obnoxious buttons that sometimes people have when they do podcasts. You know, like it's pre-programmed. You just click a thing and it goes like.
You can do that on here. I did it once. Mm-hmm. Yeah, from the studio. If you're in charge.
Oh, really?
Yeah, you can create a banner.
Yeah, but I mean, I was just listening to a podcast recently, and the guy doing it had made a button to like yell something funny and was repeating it many times an episode, and it's very rude, so I'm not gonna say.
I mean, I can do all the noises like pew 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 pew, or something.
Like vroom, vroom.
Like that one thing be like super unique.
You know when I think it's like Ewan McGregor who was saying like when he was on set for his like first Star Wars movie, he kept making the noise of the lightsaber, and someone had to come up to it and be like,
"You need to stop."
Hey, Ewan,
Laura Dern
we'll add it in post.
Yeah, Laura Dern was the same. Where when she was firing her blaster, she kept going pew 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 pew.
Did you see the gif of course, you've seen the gif of it slowed down so you can see her say pew pew in the actual movie.
Yeah.
Which just made me fall a little bit more in love with her.
I love her.
I love that so much. I've been watching Dairy Girls.
Is it
so funny?
I basically binged the first season yesterday before bed, the whole thing, because the episodes are very short. It's very tightly written. The frigging granddad is my favorite. Also the nun, Sister Michael. Like those two characters are basically like my soul in two characters. Like those are me.
Oh
they're your daemons.
Yes, they're my daemons, and the twinge of Claire. but like there's that show is so cool. And just before we went live, I watched the first episode of the second season because I could not stop.
The thing with Dairy Girls, right, is you start watching it and you're like, oh yeah, it's funny, and it's kind of going along, and then like it just gets fucking real. Like the end of season 1, it just gets really serious and you don't really see it coming, and it's like, oh, okay, I see what you're doing. And it's really just like, I mean, it's so good. And season 2, I have to warn you, is kind of like the same in structure, where you don't really see the end of season 2 coming, and then it fucking slams you in the feels. But I am 100% in Erin. Which will surprise no one who knows me and has seen this show. I mean, John is a Claire.
I mean, Orla is the person I'd want to be.
Orla is the MVP.
I'm an Orla. I'm probably Orla.
Like you are a little bit. You're like a tiny bit an Orla. I do feel bad for James though. Because like poor boy, but at the same time I'm like, well, you know, like it's not his fault, but at the same time, you know, the bloody English. But yeah, I'm loving that show.
It's very good.
Also, what else have I been watching? Season 4 of My Hero Academia has been going on with, and we've binged all the episodes up to now, and I'm like, my sweet superhero boys, and like dismantling toxic masculinity. There was this episode where the main character was like heroes don't cry, and he was like trying to stop his tears when he was having like lunch after like a meltdown, and then one of his friends was like, no, I do think that heroes cry sometimes too, and it was so wholesome. It's like, my heart. I can't. But yeah, that's like those are my main media binges. Also started watching Vinland Saga, which is an anime about Vikings, and I still maintain that it should be dubbed in Danish because Vikings.
Oh, yeah. Is that Wook on the door? Oh, I thought I heard a bang.
No, that's my upstairs neighbors.
Oh, okay.
Oh, the less fun sort of banging around.
Yeah, well, it's better than upstairs neighbor child practicing "My Heart Will Go On" for days on end, like what was happening during the summer.
Oh no!
I much prefer like the ragtimey piano that upstairs neighbor child practices.
My Heart Will Go On was the first song I learned on the piano.
Yeah,
but not the whole song, only the starting thing. And then I would like play the first 5 keys until my mom was like, no, and basically dismantled the keys from the piano so that I couldn't play them.
I mean, not nice at all. Sorry, that's another power/dick move.
Yeah.
Right.
But yeah, that was not my cat. Luke is currently eating and Leia's in the book room.
My mom got real over any kind of like noisy toys real fast because she got this little plastic cat for us when we were like 4. And it made a meow noise. But it started going off for no reason. Like the button must have gotten stuck or something. And she thought like it was the middle of the night and she went out around our house for like 45 minutes looking for some cat that was just meowing.
Oh no.
And it was like stuck under the bed or something. And after that, she never bought us noisy toys again.
Yeah. My favorite story about a noise, there's 2. So one was when my sister was younger. I don't remember. I think it was my grandparents got her bananas and pajamas plushie that would, when you squeezed it, sing the theme song. But like 2 decades later, I still remember that damn song.
Wait, how does it go? I don't know it.
No, don't.
I'm coming.
I
Anyway.
used to watch that in high school, that show, because it aired on like 7 a.m. in the like morning cartoons time slot. So I watched it before school because there was nothing else on. Shows how desperate I was for it.
Doesn't really sound like a high school type of show.
It isn't. It's a song. It's a show with two adults in giant like banana mascot suits, and the banana mascots wear these blue and white striped pajamas, and they run around their town and like get into shenanigans.
Yeah.
Claire, to be fair, it aired before Men in Black animated cartoon, which was the one show that I wanted to watch, and I didn't want to miss it. So of course I had to watch Bananas in Pajamas.
Yeah, okay.
So anyway, so
Sorry.
the other noisy toy, it was when the first Harry Potter movie came out, it was like a toy that was supposed to simulate you levitating something. And it was like levitating a ball. And they had like Dumbledore's voice and it would say, focus, concentrate, as you were trying to
How
like
weird.
move this ball through like the obstacles to get it where it needed to be.
Not even the charms teacher. This is weird. What about Phileas Flitwick?
A better toy would be a goblet, and then it would shout, "Did you put your name in the goblet of fire?"
No, she said the first movie. I mean, yes, it would be hilarious. And then on the packaging for the toy, it would say, "This toy says calmly."
Yes. For anyone making like Etsy merchandise, like fan merchandise, we are giving you free ideas, basically.
Yeah, but anyway, my family will still reference the focus, concentrate, just because it was so weird.
So my brother is very he's low functioning autistic. He's 30, but his mental functioning level is about 3. And we had, when we were growing up, this dancing Santa, and it danced, and it had like it was stiff, and it would dance like this.
Oh no.
And to just like miscellaneous like Jingle Bell Rock. And he played it all year long. Just like in the middle of June, and would dance with it. And I don't know how my parents made it through, because of course, as the younger sister, I was like, cool, this is what we do.
Like now I see why my parents never bought us any like noise making toys.
Because they were smart and kind to themselves.
Well, so
Yeah.
in my parents' defense, the 2 that I mentioned were gifts. Like they did not purchase them for my sister and I.
But that's the thing. Like my mom these days, whenever I ask her for, I mean, I don't know. I think I know better now, but like when my nieces were growing up in the first few years, like whenever we would go shopping around Christmas, usually just wait until I'm in France to go shopping so I don't have to carry a bunch of shit.
Yeah.
But then we would go shopping every time I found something that was like a noise-making thing. I didn't even consider it. And my mother was like, "No, don't you love your siblings? Don't you know how children like, not quite like that, but like my mother was like,
that was the message.
I mean, I'm sure the kids would love it. I'm not sure your brother would love it." And I was like, fair point.
Oh.
Yeah.
Did we lose Rachel?
Rachel
she probably had to do something.
She just put a message in the private chat. She's back in a second.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Oh my goodness.
So I've been watching a lot of MasterChef The Professionals because it's on right now, and whenever MasterChef, either type of MasterChef really, is on in France, in the UK where I actually live, come on, it's usually on like 4 or 5 times a week. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I think, yeah, 3 or 4 nights a week. And so that's just like, it piles up very quickly, and then so you're watching the backlog kind of, So that's right now what we're watching when we're eating food. and it's just, yeah, I've been watching a lot of MasterChef The Professionals, and yeah, it's just not much to say about it. They make food, it looks good, we don't get to eat it, but the same thing happens with me pretty much every time that we end up watching a show like that, is that I go like, no, I need to be making more actual food from scratch rather than like oven food. So I've been taking a little bit more time for that. And today...
Shannon asks, by the way, do you guys all have siblings? Just a quick tangent before Claire continues, because I just saw the question.
I have an older and a younger brother, so 2 brothers.
I have a younger sister.
I have an older brother and an older sister.
I have a twin brother.
And Claire.
Oh yeah, you mentioned that. I always forget about.
I'm older, by the way, if anyone wants to know. I am 19 and a half hours older than my brother.
19 and a half hours.
Quite a difference for twins.
Also, we're twins. I was 5 weeks premature. He was a couple weeks late.
Ooh.
Biology is cool.
Biology is super cool.
So
biology is weird.
This is an interesting fact to know. It is possible
to
get pregnant again when you're already pregnant. It's called superfetation. And it is more common than people think. Whenever you have fraternal twins where one is significantly larger than the other when they're born, that's usually what happened.
Oh my god,
that's so cool.
And then my mother gave birth at home with 4 midwives in attendance, 24 hours of labor. I came first on one day, and then 19 and a half hours later, my brother finally came, and he was breech birth.
Oh wow.
Oh jeez.
Yeah.
Biology is weird.
It really is.
Do you guys celebrate on different days then? Is your birthday's technically on different days?
When we were kids, we would do it on the same day. We would usually do it my birthday, just do it. But now that we're adults and separate, we do it on individual days. So
do you know what, like, I mean, I'm sorry to be reducing your life to, but this would be like a really fun lateral thinking question for someone to like work out in like a quiz or a podcast or something. Because I listened to this podcast where they do lateral thinking puzzles at the end of the show. That's called Futility Closet, and it's really fun. Like, and it's often things like, so and so was born on this, and they've got a bunch of them that are like related to like birth and age and stuff like that. Like how I think it's in Korea, in South Korea, they calculate age like when you're born.
Yeah.
They start counting at like 1 year old. They say you're 1 year old when you're like born or something. I don't exactly recall. But so
you're
there's
1 year old when you're born.
Yeah, so there's a lot of like kind of questions and stuff like based on that. But for me, I have one half sister who is 15 years older than me, a half brother who's 10 years older than me, and a brother who's 5 years older than me. Like ish, kind of ish on the numbers. But that's this way of saying it. Well, I mean, I didn't grow up with my half siblings. They lived with their mom. We did see them obviously regularly. But when I was growing up, it was my parents and my brother. But I am the wee baby of the family. So
we babies unite.
Yes,
I am the only like older by a few years sibling here. Then
and I get the fun like intersection of like I am the middle child, but with all of the responsibilities of the older child, which was a weird dynamic.
I bet.
I mean, I am called the evening star of the family because my brother is 7 years older than me, and my sister is 6 years older than me.
You were a surprise baby.
So, I was like I don't know what happened.
Probably nor should you. For everyone's comfort levels.
Yeah. Let's not go
Yeah.
there. No one
Yeah,
wants to
I know what happened in my case, but in my case, it's just sad. So I'm not gonna, so like.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
it's weird because like my parents have never been like super into PDA or anything like public displays of affection. So so like when I was in middle in elementary school, we used to joke around that when I was born there was a bright star in the sky.
Oh,
So,
that's cute.
Yeah, I mean religious jokes. And then we would like hide behind like a wall because we couldn't like say that out loud in public because
Weird.
like yeah, and also like growing up in a semi-cult in a way. Yeah, like I grew up in a really closed off and close-knit religious community. So much so that when my parents got divorced, my mom actually relocated us to another city because like the divorce was such a huge deal in the town. Everyone was talking about it and everyone was blaming my mom for it. So yeah, there's like weird Lutheran sects that like, and also like I have a very weird relationship with like religion because of that. So.
Fair.
Yeah. Away from the dark pit. Before I was going to say to Claire that if you want a cool, fun show about like food, there's this Korean drama called Let's Eat on Netflix. And it's basically about this group of people who come together, like they don't know each other, and they come together to have like group dinners. And each episode is like focused on a different dish, and then there's also romance, and it's great.
So wait, is this a fictional thing or?
Yeah, it's a fictional series. Like it's a K-drama.
Oh, okay.
Food and romance. Because like it's like the social context is that in Korea there's like it's really hard for like especially for women to go to like dinners alone.
Yeah.
Because everything is like group dinners and like it's like and also like high pressures on maintaining your looks and figure and stuff. So like women being seen outside alone eating lots of food is like frowned upon or something. So the context is that there's this woman who is like a huge foodie and she wants to like go to these different places where they don't serve a single person. So they start this group of people and they all start having like dinners together.
And that's called Let's Eat, yes?
It's Let's Eat, yes.
Yeah.
Also, the
theme
song is great.
I'm sorry?
The theme song is great. It's a rap about eating.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I am like more, I don't know. I don't know that I've necessarily like would seek out fiction about food so much as I really like just, documentary style show. I mean, I don't know, it's not a documentary, MasterChef's not a documentary, nor is BA Test Kitchen, but like, entertainment shows about food I really, really like. But yeah.
Have you seen Nailed It on Netflix?
Yes.
Yeah, but it makes me hugely like it really I have somewhat of a secondhand embarrassment squeak. And
that show would not be good for
That's
it.
exactly why I can't watch that show. Yeah.
The second-hand embarrassment is really huge.
Different Netflix shows, Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat.
Yes.
After the books?
Yeah, so it's hosted by Samreed Nosrat, and it is beautifully filmed. Mm-hmm. It is really interesting, and it's just 4 episodes on Netflix.
And so the conceit of it is really interesting, is that she talks about how important salt, fat, acid, and heat are to like the taste of food. Mm-hmm. And she goes through, I think I've only seen the first 2 actually. I should go back and watch the last 2, but she talks about like how much difference salt or fat, say, it makes in food. And she's like traveling and she's meeting people, and she, like, for the fat show, she goes to like Italy at some point, and she's cooking this dish with like an old grandma. They're making pesto, and it's just like, it's so simple, but she's gone to like, see how they make the olive oil and stuff, and it's just like
And in the third episode, it's acid, and so originally she wanted to go to Iran and I think go visit her family there, but it was like right after the travel ban, so she wasn't able to go. So she instead went to the Yucatan Peninsula and learned how to cook some stuff with an abuelita, and like talking about the different types of acids available, which was really interesting.
Yeah, which I think would be super interesting, because like I think for me, when I think of like acid in food, I'm like lemon juice, and then
and I mean a lot of
tomato.
Yeah, so like there was a pretty large focus on citrus, but it was also mentioning tomato and some other types of citrus or types of acidic flavors like vinegar. And stuff. And so it like I highly recommend this show. It's just really nice, and she like consults with a lot of like older women, which I really appreciate, because she's like, and it's very purposeful, the people that she chooses to talk to and chooses to interact with for the show.
And she just like, there's just a lot of joy in that show.
Yeah.
Which I think a lot of the time, I mean, when you're watching any kind of food show or like a food channel on YouTube, you'll have the moment where the person like tastes the thing and then they go like, it's so good. I have this sensation and that flavor. You have that kind of the moment where they do the face. But I feel like there is so much more of it in Salt, Fat, Acid, Heat, because it's so nerdy about the way of making it, right? You can see that how much she loves it. I don't know. I just really like it.
Yeah, and also, so like she's very unrestrained in how she reacts to food. And she treats like, it's very respectful how she interacts with the people, because like a problem with a lot of like travel cooking shows is they don't treat the local cuisines with respect. Like I think Anthony Bourdain like was a good example of how to treat it with respect, but other chefs don't do like nearly
Gordon
as good.
Ramsay?
Yeah. But so I mean, like she is like, you can see like how intently she's listening to the people explain, how they create this food or how they cultivate the food. And like, it's a very soothing show. I think that's the best way I would describe it. It's a very soothing food show.
And I think one of the ways that you see that she's being respectful and that the show in its entirety is being respectful is that when she talks to the people, like no one is getting dubbed. She's speaking, if she's able to speak to them in a language, she speaks to them in a language. There is a lot, like, I think when you come from a non-English speaking background, like you see a lot of how much, you see a lot of the difference between the way that, the world at large interacts with your language, or your country is expected to interact with other languages, including English. And I know French is very like almost, or France is quite uppity about like, no, we'll get everything like turned into French because we're not accepting English and stuff. But I think there's a lot in like what it is that people outside of the English language world are expected to, understand. And
I want to put a pin on that because I have a related rant. But Shannon asks, since we are still talking about food, so to share our favorite winter recipes, or I guess also like winter food. What is something that you like to make?
I like making this pretty simple black bean soup that I can then dress up. So it's literally, you toss 3 cans of black beans with the liquid, a jar of salsa, like a tablespoon of cumin, and some oregano. And I think that's it. And then you just let it heat up. You stir it and let it heat up. And then I doctor it with avocado, lime, and sour cream.
That sounds yummy.
Yeah, I use a green salsa because the recipe initially calls for cilantro, and I find sometimes a soup I don't like large chunks of cilantro leaves in it. Yeah, so sometimes I'll use it as a garnish, but mostly I'll just get a salsa that has cilantro in it.
Yeah.
So yeah, that black bean soup is just kind of like my go-to weeknight winter soup.
Oh, Di, I don't think do you eat meat? I don't recall.
I do eat meat. I just sometimes don't buy it because
yeah.
money.
Yeah, totally. No, I get it. I get it.
I really want to know like Rachel's favorite recipe though, because Rachel is like your cooking videos are giving me life. Every time you share something that you eat, I'm like, yes, thank you.
I'm not sure if I have like an absolute favorite winter dish. My mom makes a soup. We call it garbanzos a la king. It's not the actual name of the soup, and it's basically garbanzos and a lot of rosemary and other herbs. And it's like our vegetarian version of chicken noodle soup.
Nice.
I love
it has that comforting feel to it. I've never made it though. Like it's one of those things that if my mom doesn't make it, it's not the same recipe, you know.
Yeah.
But the one recipe that I look forward to making every year, which is definitely a winter thing, because it takes sweet potatoes, and I only make this recipe now when I have sweet potatoes from my garden or my mom's garden, and it is a sweet potato red curry from Isa Does It by Isa Jenner Moskowitz, and it's so good.
That does sound good though.
So my favorite is it's a stew. Well, I just made, and I love making a home corned beef, which is I use the recipe from Homesteading the Family. It's like a 2-year-old recipe on YouTube. It's really good. But like my home, like thinking about childhood warm winter food is caldillo. So you take like a steak, like stewing meat, essentially, like beef stewing meat, and you put it in a crock pot with a can of salsa, fill the can up with some water, toss in potatoes, carrots, hominy, and like green chili. And you just let it sit.
Hominy, it's a type of corn that's like boiled with lime, so the kernel kind of expands.
Yeah.
Okay, that makes sense. Well, I have a slow cooker now, which I think is a crock pot in American English.
Yeah.
And it is the best thing. You just chuck stuff in it, and you wait 4 hours, and then it's like perfect. Oh my God, Raya is like done.
Yeah.
It's the best.
So right now in my crock pot, I have some little lardons and some chicken with onions and with onion and leek and potato and some chicken stock, and you know, I do a mix, right? I do a mix of chicken stock and vegetable stock, and then I added some like onion gravy granules just to thicken it up a little bit. We've got some bread to go with that tonight. But like basically I just end up chucking, like the thing that I do in the winter is chuck like because I'll buy something that's meant for 2 people. I'll buy a meat that's meant for 2 people, and then I'll chuck it in, and I'll have like 2 dinners and then like some leftovers for lunch for like 1 or 2 lunches, right? Yeah. So I'll just chuck like some sausages or something, and then like a can of tomato, a can of either lentils or chickpeas, or I did barley also recently. That was really good. And then like just herbs and garlic and stuff like that, and vegetables. And it's just like, it's so easy. It feels like cheating.
I actually want to change my answer because Rachel reminded me of my other favorite, which I haven't made yet, but it's green pozole. So pozole is normally, you can either make it with chicken or pork. So I do chicken, and mine, the way I make it, it tends to like require all my burners, and like it makes so much. Like I either have to, like, even when I was living with roommates, it would make enough where we each could have some, and I would have leftovers for like the week, and I would also like freeze a little. Like it just, it was a lot, and it was delicious.
So wait, can I ask you how is that pozoles?
Pozole. So it's Pozole.
Pozole?
Pozole. So you can either do so you can do like green or red pozole. I prefer making green just because that doesn't require me to soak chilies.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I'm also like the wussiest person for heat, so it's probably not the best dish for me, but I really like.
You can Budget Bites has like a 30-minute pozole recipe, which is pretty good, and it isn't super spicy.
I mean, I have to say, everybody, Diana turned me on to Budget Bites, like, you know, I don't know, 6 months ago or something, and like, everything on there. And I've made several things from there like that. They've got a chickpea sandwich stuffing thing.
Yeah, that one is so good.
Oh.
My favorite winter thing. Sorry.
That's all right.
My favorite winter thing is this. Basically, like one of my favorite Finnish recipes is the Karelian hot pot. But we do like sort of like a fusion version of it where we add some stuff that are not traditionally in it. So you have like the meat, potatoes, carrots, some turnip, garlic, red wine, onions, and like pureed tomato and stuff. And basically you just put it all in a pot and then into the oven and let it like sit for like 4 hours or something, and it's so delicious. And you can like opt out with the meat or like.
I want to try this, and I think that seitan would probably be a perfect substitute for something like that.
Wait, so is that is that the flavors of Karelian pie but in a stew?
Well, Karelian pie is different. Karelian pie is like rye crust with either a potato mash, which is gross, or the rice porridge, which is great.
It's very good. Okay.
Yeah, like it's great. Like Karelian pies are also like amazing. Also, plum tarts. Plum tarts are the best Christmas thing. Where are you going? Don't go.
Apple crumble.
I will forever have a weak spot for Christmas tamales.
Yes.
I have to make some of my own because my freezer's empty right now.
So, yeah, my grandma will make them in January because she'll do like a tamale party then. Yeah. And I'm really sad that I probably won't be able to go down because I always would like restock my freezer.
Their tamale parties are like one of my favorite memories being a kid, is like running around while like a bunch of adults don't pay attention to you because they're busy making like masa and shit.
Yeah. Well, so for me at my grandma's tamale parties, my sister and I were trained to make margaritas at a young age. So like that stereotype of like Mexicano kids like making the margaritas was very real in my family.
Midnight margaritas.
Yeah, well, we would make both alcoholic and non-alcoholic.
Yep.
So my sister and I could feel like adults.
Yeah. I got you. I
like the flavor of a margarita is really good whether or not you put, booze in it. So
yeah,
it's fair enough.
Oh, I have to okay. Now that we've shared the food things, I want to unpin that pin about, like different cultures and respecting different cultures and talk about the new season of Queer Eye.
I haven't seen it.
Where they go to Japan.
I haven't seen it.
To help
Oh yeah.
Japanese people with their problems. I watched the first episode, and the amount of cringe I felt was so unreal. I was like, I was so uncomfortable watching that. Like these like non-Japanese people coming to Japan, like, and telling people how to dress and how to be and how to, like, basically trying to inject like a little bit of like
Western culture.
Western. Like,
I mean, I'm not sure I would say there were. I mean, like, obviously there is a problem. There is inherently like a risk of that in the format of it. I think they mitigated better than I thought they might ahead of time, knowing just the concept, right? Because they have like they consult with people that are, but like, there is one episode later where like Jonathan like makes the people do yoga, and it's just like, Jonathan, come on. Like, I mean,
maybe it's just like in like from my own cultural perspective, like butting into other people's business is like really.
But that's the point of the show, though. I'm sorry, but
I know.
I know. The show.
I know, but I somehow accept it more when it's like Americans and Brits doing it because they're known for that. but then like when it's like it made me uncomfortable.
Okay, so you've seen the first one, right?
Yeah.
Well, so I think what was interesting about that particular season, right, is it's 4 episodes, and for all 4 of them, they talk to people who kind of like don't really fit into the impression that I get as someone
they don't
a Japanese person.
Japan society in like
the impression that I get as a person who's not Japanese is that they don't fit with what's expected societally, and that part of the work that the team is doing is to let them know that it's okay, for them to be that. And like, there's an episode where they talk to a young gay man who's like considering moving permanently out of Japan because he like can't figure out how to like, be out and all of that. And, they have just a lot of, I mean, I don't know. I think like a lot of the time I
understand that's the intent because like Japan is very similar with Finland in a sense that the nail that sticks out gets hammered in. Basically, like if you kind of stick up against the norms of society, you are looked down upon and you are not like viewed as like a valid member of society in a sense. Like over here, it's like become much more like liberal, but like Japan is still very much like closed off in a sense. Like and there's other issues too, but like I don't know. It's just there was just something I was so uncomfortable with the like with the first episode. I might continue on with it, but I don't know. Like, I don't actually know if they could have done that with like a Japanese cast of like the Queer Eye people, like being Japanese, like because the whole point is that they are kind of trying to reveal the sort of injustices inherent in the culture and not necessarily.
I mean, I really don't think that's the point of the show. Like, they're not trying to. I don't think it. Well, okay, fair enough. Like, it's all about how it comes across, right? But to me, it never came across as if they were trying to pass judgment on society. They're trying to get the really. To me, it came across as really focused on the people, and like they're trying to get the people out of the shells that
But at the same time, the show is not
and themselves.
But at the same time, the show is targeted towards like Western audiences.
Oh yeah, no,
And
totally.
that's probably one thing that made me uncomfortable. Is like it's like these 101 snippets. Like, oh, look at the like. It's things like this are like I don't know how to explain it. Like, I just feel like there's a certain kind of voyeurism in it, in a way.
I mean, I get what you're saying, right? Because it's exactly what we were talking about before, right? The direction it's working in wouldn't really work the other direction. Like, there is this kind of awareness of American culture across the world that's permeated. There is this kind of cultural hegemony of sorts, that exists, and
there's
you kind of have to deal with it. I think me being French does have a lot to do with like the way that I'm viewing this, right? Where in France, the reaction that tends to happen to most American media tends to be like immediate knee-jerk, no, this is bad just because it's American. And that's like a super...
I'm not saying it's like bad. I'm just saying that...
No, I know you're not. But what I'm saying is I think that my perspective on it is informed and colored by the fact that like that's my background, that I am an Anglophile, that I'm somebody who was like really into all this, English and American stuff and was interested in it in the first place. So I think that does play a role. I don't know that they could have,
I mean, there's also another aspect where I think it's more acceptable for like foreigners to come in, like from a Japanese standpoint, like obviously I'm not Japanese, but like having talked to like Japanese friends and stuff, there's this aspect of like foreigners having more leeway to do things within the constraints of the society, where they won't get judged for things that Japanese people would get judged for, because they're like, well, they're just foreigners, which is kind of icky in and of itself. But like there's also like that aspect.
There is that aspect, but there's also like the fact is, because of the way the world is structured and because of the way, because of societal power and whatever, like there's no way that like the premise of that show, the premise of like...
I mean, it wouldn't work. I know it wouldn't work with a Japanese cast, because the flavor would be...
I mean, it wouldn't work with any... I think it would be really hard to work with any other cast, right? Because they've done a few seasons of the show and they are like famous and they have a really good rapport, and that's part of why you watch it, right? Yeah. But the point is that it is made for an American audience, and in that way, of course, it's going to be somewhat voyeuristic. I think with the premise that they had, they've kind of done the best that they could, and it could have been a lot worse. But it did remind me a lot of like in Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, there's a scene where there's like a council of magic users from across the world, and you see the way that that the film has chosen to signify in this really short amount of time, right? Where you see this scene happening for like 2 seconds, however long. They've chosen to signify the fact that it's international by having one person who looks like really stereotypically Chinese for the idea of Chinese that a white audience would have. Like, the Canadian representative is legit a Mountie in that scene, Wait,
like, real? I haven't seen this movie.
No,
so that's...
This is all from Which Please, the Harry Potter academic analysis podcast, right? They talk about that scene, and it's sort of like, some of the controversy after that movie came out was like, the Chinese representative is credited in the movie with a name that literally means like Asian lady or something like that in Chinese. Like, that's her name in the credits of the movie. It's really bad. And so it's like they're talking about the fact that like the way that we are signifying this person, they're not trying to tell the Chinese people, hey, this is a person who is, a kinswoman of yours, right? They're trying to tell the white people, hey, this person is like Chinese, but it's not real. It's just it's speaking to the idea that we as white people have. It's not speaking to the reality. And so I think, that's the same kind of thing that's at play with something like Queer Eye Japan, where like,
I mean,
it's made for people who will have those. It's made for people who will have those kind of like frame of references, right? And that's just inherently at the basis of it. I don't know. I found it watchable. There you go. I was able to watch through it, but it's just very personal.
I mean, maybe it's just that as I watched it, I was like, okay, I'm getting this deeply uncomfortable feeling, and it might just like, it's like I have different like maybe views because sometimes like my country's history also like colors things, like very much so, like that whole post-colonialism and stuff like that. So you like I'm very sensitive to that kind of like other
representation.
Yeah, and other cultures trying to kind of creep in on your own heritage in a way. Like there's been a lot of work done in Finland, for example, like in terms of trying to maintain our like heritage and folklore and language and stuff after, Sweden and Russia. So I'm kind of sensitive to that.
But the thing is,
obviously doesn't have that history, but that's probably one of their that's my bias. That's the lens that colors my view.
But my bias is that France likes to cry wolf about how our, heritage is being buried in whatever. Like, France is all like, oh no, we have one word of English in the French language. Our culture is dying. And it's like, it is baloney. And also a lot of the times very racist. So my bias of that is like, always serious side-eye first.
Yeah.
I think. And I like 100% would be like 100% like if I'm looking at it and it's like, oh, this is white people going to non-white people, if particularly if it's got the lens of like you see white people going to like a country that's not full of white people, like definitely that skepticism I think is super warranted. Like that's the right lens to have, but I know why I don't have it as much as you.
Yeah, there's an interesting context to consider with Japan specifically, which is that a lot of their like post World War II, right, Japan is very much shaped in the model of America, and forcibly so. So like literally American interns drafted their constitution in the basement of the State Department and then like gave it to them.
And there's also like for example, in a sense, a lot of like Japanese media, the way that the resurgence of like Japanese media and Japanese nationalism in like the 60s, 70s, when like anime started to become a thing and stuff, was modeled after Disney and stuff. So there's like it's weird because right now we're living in an era where like the West is taking so much influence from Asian media, but like Asian media, specifically Japanese and South Korean media, were also heavily inspired by American media, which I mean, you have American army bases in Japan and in Korea, so there's like that mix of cultures in a sense, and like
I mean, and there's a legitimacy to being skeptical about the way that I think a lot of specifically like Southeast Asian culture, like Japanese and Korean specifically, like how those feed into American stereotypes of what culture should be, because American influence was the dominant influence at the time and has been largely like it's a kind of Ouroboros of cultural influence in a lot of ways.
Yeah, I mean, I can feel that from personal perspective because coming from a small country with a very small language. Only 5 to 6 million people speak Finnish as a native language in the world. So because we don't have the means to produce a lot of Finnish media, we import a lot of stuff. And a lot of it comes from the US and the UK, which kind of it was funny because when I was reading a memory called Empire, the whole cultural imperialism thing kind of the frame of reference that I had was the fact that I've grown up with American and UK media, and it's been so ingrained in my brain that I know it basically better than I know Finnish media. American and UK celebrities are more familiar to me than Finnish celebrities. You ask me about any Finnish singer, and I know basically none of them, unless they're from the 80s or something.
I mean, it's an interesting perspective. I was thinking the other day about how weird a culture America has in context of the rest of the world because of its roots with a lot of different stuff, and specifically its roots in kind of religious dissonance and the weird ways that played out. But I spend a lot of time thinking about that.
Yeah.
Has everyone read A Memory Called Empire except me?
I have not. It's on my list of stuff to get to in my dear God, I only need to read books that I own January.
I think me and Rachel have read it, and Claire has it on her TBR.
I've had it for a while.
I've started it, and I need to finish. It's on my end of year,
Yeah.
So hopefully I'll get to it really soon. But I just have right now I have about 3 or 4 books that I have started, and I'm kind of stalled, but still want to finish reading them. But it's just it's been such a stressful couple of weeks that I'm just I need to start again.
I have a pretty weird relationship with it because when I first read it, I had some issues with it, and then I gave it 4 stars. But since then, I've been thinking about it all the time, and just the book comes into my dreams, and I have these things about the characters, and I wake up in the middle of the night that's an interesting thing that I just think about after months of having read it. And now it's I feel I should have given it 5 stars just because it's been sticking with me. And now I'm wondering if I should.
You can change your rating.
Yeah.
I know, but I'm just
I mean, that would be a
I already committed. The internet knows.
No, but that would feel I think that's a pretty good idea for a video, actually, right?
Yeah.
In the words of Severus Snape, we rate too soon.
Look, I have a letter.
Yeah, Rhea, that's something I do every year. At the end of the year, whenever I go through my list of things I've read to pick out my favorites of the year, I do adjust the ratings on a handful of them. And some of my books are 5 stars.
I've had a couple people be why did you rate this way? And I'm always I don't know. I don't know that I trust the rating system to begin with because it seems so arbitrary.
It is arbitrary.
Yeah, so because I've definitely had things where I've read something, I'm I can see that it's good, but I also deeply dislike this, so I'm only giving it 3 stars.
And I mean also sometimes something is your favorite, but you can tell that something else that isn't as much your favorite. You know, there's different ways to appreciate something, right? I love the Broken Earth series, but more because I read it and I'm oh my God, how did you do that to my brain? And less an absolute I love this, it's really comforting, I want to go back to it all the time. It's not, it's not comforting.
I mean, I have this thing about because I always say that Source Point is my favorite book, but recently I talked about it and I'm there are objectively better books out there, but that's whole emotional connection that I have with that book is so strong that I can't ignore it, and I think that's also a valid thing.
Yeah. I mean, that's me with a lot of Tamara Pierce books. Some of her early books have not aged particularly well, but like I am still so fond of them, and they still hold such a special part in my
is it
heart.
time to sing the Dragon Riders of Pern song of books that have not aged well?
Actually, if we want to do that, early Mercedes Lackey. I had tried to reread the first Tarma and Kethri book a few years ago, and I had to walk away from it for a few good months because there is an entire plot point where Tarma and Kethri are trying to deal with bandits, and they find like a mind magician who is like part of it, and they like do something where they like make it seem like he's a woman and like set him up to be raped.
Oof.
It is, like that entire thing. I'm just reading and I'm like, I had completely forgotten about this plot line.
Yeah, that's something that I would also kind of like subtly block out of my mind.
Well, there's also so much that like as a kid I never would have tuned into.
Yeah,
right. So like a lot of the stuff that I read when I was young, I have to always take with a grain of salt because I just like I know that I have a hard time hearing stuff, like being aware of stuff I should say now that like I have to really take it with a grain of salt.
I mean, speaking of like childhood favorite authors who have not aged well, I could do a whole video about Astrid Lindgren, and
you probably should.
I mean, the whole Pippi Longstocking thing is kind of like reading them as an adult is like, it's not as comforting and empowering as it was when I was a small bean of a child.
That's interesting because I've
not my brother Lionheart though.
That's interesting because I'm sure that I would be interested in seeing a video like that, and I'm sure other people would be because like I don't think I've ever read the books of Pippi Longstocking. Like we had the TV we had an animated like series, right?
Yeah.
I think.
Yeah, there were movies because I definitely remember watching the Pippi Longstocking movies at my cousin's.
Yeah, they are. And apparently they're dubbed into English, I think, because movies are originally Swedish.
They were it wasn't subtitled. I remember it being in English, so I think these were either like dubbed or there were English versions of it.
There was definitely English versions. I don't know whether it was dubbed or whether it was like an adaptation into English or something, but I remember the same shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We had it in French and it was funny because Pipi is like in French the childish word for we.
Yeah.
That's funny.
So my kitties have decided I've done enough knitting because Luke is currently laying on my knitting and Leia is on my yarn.
Yeah. Soren has decided that he is done with me being in here and has been very loud outside of the door.
When my parents first visited me in London and they were meeting my boyfriend for the first time, John very helpfully booked us a dinner at Aziz's, which is all fine and good because I like their food. Problem is, zizi in French is the childish word for wiener. My parents thought it was hilarious because they're very French, so that's fine. My parents just thought it was really funny.
I mean, that's fine.
So there you go.
I just had the lights out signal from my partner who is going to sleep, and I should probably join him soon. So we should probably talk about releases of like January, things we are interested in.
Let me just pull it up. I was just doing my list for my most anticipated releases video, so that'll be
filmed this morning, so I think I should remember this.
Nice. Yeah, by the way, Shannon points out that she's been convinced not to reread the Bulgariad after you talked to her about it. Wait, no.
Yeah, I actually started reading Eddings for the first time, and I've only managed one of the books, and like I can definitely see why people really, because like there are parts of it that are funny, and like I can definitely like see the right by trope stuff that's happening, but also there's some stuff where I'm like,
well, yeah, no, let's just say you're reading Elenium, aren't you?
Yeah, I'm reading the Elenium.
That's fine. It's
the Elenium is less racist.
There's still some racist shit in there, like
but it's less so. It's less racist. like, I mean, I just reread the first Belgariad like earlier this year, and I was like, ooh, that's like, wow. Like, that's like.
Anyway,
the whole thing
Joe also said he tried reading the series after the Belgariad, so that would be the Mallorean, and barely managed to finish the first book. The thing is, the Belgarian and the Mallorean, and by extension, all
every series,
they are the exact same, and literally in the Mallorean, it's a plot point that the exact same thing is going on as the Belgariad, because there's like a cycle of prophecy. So it literally says, oh yeah, I'm writing the same plot again because you're gonna buy it again. Here's the reason why. Plot.
My pro tip, if you really want to read David Eddings and you want to like you want to have the David Eddings experience, read Althalus, because that's a standalone one book, and it's basically the same thing that all the rest of his series are. There's a farm boy or a chosen one character. There's a stone. There's some racially stereotyped people. Some of them are good guys and some of them are bad guys. The bad guys are usually kind of Asian and stuff.
Yeah, I wouldn't go back to Piers Anthony either, Shane.
Yeah. If someone wants something like kind of in the vein of Eddings, E.K. Johnston's most recent book, The Afterword, is like a feminist queer YA. Like it's kind of like it touches on what happens during the quest, but it's more focused on like what happens after, hence the title. But yeah, like I was reading the Crystal Throne. Yeah, it was the Crystal Throne, because like she's been pretty upfront where like the book was inspired by Eddings. And so reading the Crystal Throne, I could definitely see that through line. But like I said, you know, female characters and queer.
Yeah, I mean, Eddings, the thing is...
New releases.
Yeah,
sorry.
Wrapping up. I got to go shovel. So,
Rachel, you can go first since you
new releases. Can I be honest that there actually aren't that many things coming out in the first quarter of 2020 that I'm super excited about, except for The City We Became by N.K. Jemisin. Like everything that I really, really want in 2020 is coming out in April or May. Like Murderbot.
Yeah, that's...
I want to tell people, because I love these novellas. The Penric and Desdemona novellas by Bujold are the first 3 are being released in an omnibus by Baen in January. So if you want to pick them up, this is like the first time they're going to be available for cheap, basically, in print. So I'm like, yay, I want more people to read them.
I'll have to pick that up because I've been enjoying the Vorkosigan books.
The Penric ones are a joy.
They are such solid fantasy. They're so good. Yeah.
My pick for like the book that I'm most excited for January is Dark and Deepest Red.
I was going to mention that as like one I was looking forward to.
Wait, I'm sorry. Which one you guys yelled at?
Sorry.
Dark and Deepest Red by Anna Marie McLemore.
Oh, I see.
I love Anna Marie McLemore.
Me too.
I've never read them.
And they are coming out like in 2021 with a Snow Queen retelling, and I'm so jazzed about it.
Yeah, and they're also, I think, working on a book with Teller.
I was going to bring that one up as well. I'm really excited for that.
Yeah, so I really, really love Anna Marie McLemore. I would highly recommend their work.
Yeah. Like I have read so far like 3 books by them, and I enjoyed every one of them.
Yeah, they're all of their books are delightfully queer and just very soothing in their own way. Yeah,
Alistair in the chat points out Upright Women Wanted by Sarah Gailey. That's a February release. I'm really excited for that. I love Gailey's work, but that's February.
Oh, go ahead.
It's on Netflix, or not Netflix, NetGalley. It's on NetGalley.
Yeah, I've requested it. We'll see. I was gonna say for January, obviously there's a new Wayward Children book, but if you're into the Wayward Children by this point, you probably know.
Yeah.
So
Come Tumbling Down is this basically a sequel to Every Heart a Doorway, though. Like,
Yeah.
I'm super excited about that. The first time we're gonna get
it follows like Jack and Jill again, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, again, I don't want to say again. I don't know. I don't want to say too much about like the synopsis of that because it's a direct sequel and the synopsis has a massive spoiler for the end of the first book. So, but I think if people are into that series, they'll know about that one. So I pick one that I heard about from Elizabeth's channel. It's called A Beginning at the End by Mike Chen, and it's like basically post-apocalyptic, but like building a society up again after the like disaster happens. And I really like those, like, and actually trying to build up again and actually trying to have a actual like government or whatever. So that's going to be interesting, and that's one that I totally didn't know about. So yeah.
So mine, aside from the two that Claire and Rhea mentioned, is Storm Song by C.L. Polk. It's the sequel to Witchmark. And I am so excited. This one was originally supposed to be released in 2019, but it got pushed back. And I adored Witchmark. It was, like, I think the first book I read this year, and it was really good. And Storm Song follows. It is FF, so it's Femslash, which I'm very excited about. And it's dealing with the fallout of stuff that happened in Witchmark. And it's just this really cool, like, secondary world fantasy that's like kind of reminiscent of Edwardian society, but also very different.
Yeah, it's so good.
It's so good.
I still need to read it, but I have it on ebook.
It is very queer, and I
$1.99
enjoyed it.
deal. Bree, do you have anything?
My big one was the new N.K. Jemisin. That is the one I am most looking forward to.
I need to pre-order that.
Okay, so with that, any last words? Do you want to plug your next projects? Starting with Rachel.
I got to finish up Vlogmas, and then I'm going to go collapse for the remainder of the year.
Go watch Rachel's Vlogmas video. They'd be great. Di?
I'm probably going to do like something Star Wars related once Rise of Skywalker comes out, but I don't know what that is yet.
Also do the books and cats tag.
Yeah, I don't know what that, can someone like link me that tag? Because I don't know.
I can link you that tag.
Thank you, friend.
I'm totally gonna do that myself, but I'm all for like books and cats.
Yeah.
Claire?
Leia's currently eyeing my yarn again.
Of course she is.
And I've got, like I said, I've got an unboxing coming out. I've already filmed my wrap-up for Nonfiction November, but it's quite long, so it's taking me a while to edit. But I wanted to kind of experiment with doing like a chattier, longer video, and I'm reviewing 5 things, so it's quite long. And then I'm doing, I did the 10-year challenge book tag that was on Rincey's channel. Rincey Reads, so I did that one. That's recorded. I need to do a bunch of editing basically, but now that I have a lot of time off, I can do a bunch of editing. And I've got a lot of other plans as well, but I'm not going to say anything because I don't know when I'm going to be able to record if we have people in the flat, like changing the heater.
Yeah, so. Plausible deniability is
yeah,
key.
exactly.
Yeah.
Setting expectations.
So I have a couple of reviews that I'm planning, but the next big one, big kind of project-y thing, is I'm going to be doing a video about looking at the concept of the social contract and kind of that aspect of political theory as it applies to Ancestral Night by Elizabeth Bear.
Ooh.
That's nice. Okay, before I start gushing and fangirling about all the other people's content, I could plug a thing I'm hopefully gonna be doing before Christmas, which is a sort of video essay-ish thing about gamifying or gamification, and specifically gamifying your reading. Mm-hmm. And it's gonna look at some booktubers who have done that, and also a sneak peek, I'm gonna introduce my own TBR game.
Jenga.
Yes.
Okay.
That's funny.
Yes. So that's gonna be a thing come 2020. There's gonna be a TBR Jenga.
I think I'm pretty set on doing basically on the model of the Wheel of TBR, but like with bingo cards. Just because my big problem with TBRs is that if I have a set number of books, I'm never going to read like that set number. But if I could give myself like, wild squares and say like out of all of these, you have to do lines or whatever, that I think would work better for me. So that's what I'm going to go for.
Yeah. Cool. Okay, so with that, we are gonna wrap up. I just got the second lights out. If we don't stop, I'm gonna be wrestled out of this chair and into bed to sleep, mind you. So we'll see you in January at some point. We will keep you posted. Which channel? Is it Bree?
I think it's mine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I guess that's the same book.
So we're gonna see you in January on Bree's channel, and we are going to have the gift exchange then.
Yes.
And with that, we are off. Have a good one.
Bye.
Bye.
Yeah, please stop eating my yarn.